Welcome back to Iron Archery Outdoors, guys. We're going to talk about a little something that I see quite a bit about, and what I use and what I found works really well. So I know there's a lot of questions going around as far as sight tape builds. What programs do people use for the guys that build custom sight tapes, and so on. It's very simple, really. Once you kind of just tinker with it and you kind of catch on a little bit, it all kind of falls into place. Mind you, there are other programs that, might be a little more tricky or finicky. Personally, I use Precision Cut Archery, and it has been absolutely awesome. So I'm going to kind of walk you through how I do my things. And yeah, so we'll kind of go step by step. So basically, first off is I'll show you the sheet that I originally printed and kind of the settings that I have. Okay, so here is a sheet that I have printed, and as you can see, so I built the tape from 10 all the way to 170. Which I don't quite get this far. I mean, I got clearance to about 155, 158, somewhere in there. But anyway, so you put in your info up here, your sight height. That is your center of peep sight to your center of your arrow at full draw. Your sight radius, which is from your pin in your scope housing to the center of your peep sight at full draw. Your arrow weight, I do a launch speed. You don't necessarily need it, but I do it anyway. And I do the sight in 2 mark. You can do a 3 mark, but you got to be really, really, really precise with those. Obviously, you want to be as precise as you possibly can, but this system works really good for me anyway. Then I do a sight in range at 30 yards and 90 yards. So these marks here, I have found if I do 30 and 90 or like 30 and 100, my sight tapes are super accurate. Don't necessarily go to 20 because you can be within a couple yards at 20 and you might not even see it. But at 30, if you're a yard or two off, you're going to notice it a little bit more. So you get a better measurement here. Now, if you're a really consistent shooter, you could do like 40, and if you could get this number up to like 120, where you could shoot a pretty good group at that, you'd have a super accurate sight tape. But 30 and 90 works pretty darn good for me, and I mean, I've shot the tapes as far out to 135, 140, and they've been pretty damn close. I mean, I can't really shoot the difference, so they've been really good for me. But that's how I go through. And the printer I currently have is an Epson ET4850. And I haven't done it on the computer, so I'm using the app on my phone. And on the app on the phone with this printer, I can't do to scale selection like the mobile app I used to have for our old printer. I could actually do to scale. That way your tapes are as accurate, should be accurate. But what I do is, so when you get to your measurements here, so your 30 and your 90, you take a caliper and you measure the distance between that 30 and 90, okay? And then that is your measurement here, your 0.8, mine was 0.86. So then I do the 5-sighted method. So my 0.86 is my center one. Then it'll go down. So this will be a little bit, this will be the faster side of that sight tape, and this will be the slower side. So it'll stagger it a little bit. Basically, it'll kind of jog it in 1 yard increments. Okay? And so what I do is I take a normal piece of printer paper and I'll print one off and I'll check that scale from my 30 to 90. And I'll check my farthest one and my nearest one. And if I feel if I need to change the number a little bit, I just go back into my app and change this number a little bit. So say if I'm pretty close at 0.866, but I need a little bit more, I'll go back into my app and I'll put in like 0.868 or 0.87. Then I'll just flip this piece of paper when I put it in the printer. Obviously these go upside down, but I'll just flip it and then I'll run it through and I'll hit cancel halfway through. That way I'm just printing on half the sheet because I don't need the little scale marks down here. So that's how I do that part. Then once I get a scale, the sight tape dead nuts to what my marks are, then what I will do is I print it on a final piece. So this will kind of show you how two-sided it is, where I canceled it halfway, flipped it, and ran it for the new side. So what I ended up doing, so this is the original tape that I have on my bow right now. And the new features, well, a newer feature in Precision Cut is you can actually mark your 5-yard increments, which I don't do it. You don't need it. But it's a cool feature, so if you want it, you can do it. But these tapes are actually going on an Excel driver. So what I do in the red here is basically where this ended up being, I mean, I don't really need this, so I'll go to my new example. So this will be my current tape that I'm putting on. So basically what I have in the red here is basically where I'm getting to a distance where my sight housing is getting close to my top vein, my cock vein up. So if I need to shoot past this, either A, I need to go to my double pin, use my bottom pin, because I got a 2-pin vertical, use my bottom pin, or if I want to stay in my top pin, I need to flip my arrow to cock vein down. So I got clearance at 135 with cock vein up. We shot that this past weekend at the King of the Mound, which is put out by Beast Mode Archery. But anyway, but that's just my indicator of once I get to this distance, I got to keep in mind, hey, I got to flip my arrow if I need to, and shoot it with cock vein down. So that's just my reference of how I do that. But more importantly, what I'm here to show you is this is for an inkjet printer, okay? Inkjet. And so I've bounced around for a couple papers, and the whole thing is, the old method as putting on masking tape, or not masking tape, but packing tape like this. You put it on there, flip it over, then you can wrap your edges and you got a waterproof tape, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, that's fine. And some guys it works, sometimes it doesn't, whatever. I kind of get OCD about it. I want to just have a waterproof paper. Well, the one I have found that actually works really well is this one right here. This, I don't even know how to pronounce it, whatever. IVA, whatever. But it's durable, water resistant, great adhesion, compatible with all inkjet printers, easy to use, vinyl, sticker, paper for an inkjet printer. Make sure you get a paper for inkjet printer. I did a test on this myself as I bought one for a laser printer, and it comes out really bad. So make sure you get an inkjet printer. Okay, these are about $15 to $20 for this pack. So that's also another reason why I print on halves like that. Okay, mind you, you can get a lot of sight tapes out of this anyway, but I went with a glossy, but I did buy another pack of a matte finish. So just because I wanted to play with it and see which one kind of printed out decent, because I was kind of weird. I was kind of skeptical on how the glossy was going to print with an inkjet, so I want to try it. And lo and behold, it came out very, very well. So I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit. So, okay, that's zoomed in a little more. And things turned out very well. Everything's really nice and crisp. And I'm pretty darn pretty darn happy with it. So that is how I build the tapes and the paper I use them on. Then what I do, then we'll go over here. Obviously, this was the tape put on with the masking tape, like the one I showed you I cut out. And you know, obviously the problem with this, if you don't get the edges, your tape will actually, or the water will seep into the edge of the tape, and then it'll bleed your ink. And obviously that's no fun. So what I ended up doing is I printed another one because I didn't have this paper in the mail or here yet, the waterproof stuff. So I printed another tape and then put it on another metal tape, so if this one did leak, I could just swap it out. But now I got the paper I want, my waterproof stuff. Now I can put it on, don't got to worry about it. And the back, the sticky side of this paper is very sticky. So it's super nice. I don't got to worry about it trying to peel off the metal side tape. Mind you, when you put it on the metal side tape, I just take a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a Q-tip or whatever else, you need paper towel, whatever you want, and I just wipe the side of the metal side tape that I'm going to put it on, or whatever surface you may be putting it on. And just to make sure it's good and clean, and there's not no like finger oils or something else on it. Make sure it's good and clean. Then, obviously, when you cut your side tape out to stick it on, you know, try not to touch the back of it as much as you can. But the backing of this paper it does have a very good adhesive on it, and it sticks really well. So, yeah, that's kind of how I walk through these, and basically how I set my tapes up, and the yardage as I do it, and how I build my tapes, and so on and so forth. So, hopefully that kind of helps you guys out a little bit. I've seen a lot of different things go around as far as what papers to use and stuff like this. As far as laser printers, I'm not sure what the best papers are. I know if you Google it, Precision Cut Archery actually gives you recommendations on laserjet and inkjet printers. So for inkjet printers, they recommend Sheet Label is the brand. Sheet Label, it's either waterproof or weatherproof, but label paper. And I had a hard time finding it. I don't know why. But, so I ended up going with this one, and it works really good. So, that, I'll show you that one again, is this. Okay, so this paper works really good in inkjet printers. So hope it helps you guys out. And the other nice thing, if you're not familiar with Precision Cut, the other super nice thing about it is each time you build a site tape, it downloads the PDF. So you always have it. You don't have to go back in and redo a bunch or build it all over again. So basically, once you finalize one and you're ready to print it, it downloads the PDF file. So that way too, even if you build some for a buddy or whatever, throw one on your buddy's bow, and all of a sudden something happens, gets wet, whatever, you still have the file. Okay, pull it up, print it out, slap it on. Super nice. And you can do as many arrow builds as you want. So, I mean, I could build out a bunch of arrows. I have mine, I have my wife's bow, I have another tape for my hunting arrow setup. These are for my 3D arrow setup. And so I can just have a bunch of these files just ready to go. All I do is go in, click the one I want, print it out, stick it on. It's super nice. And so basically what I'm going to do for hunting is I'm going to print out another tape once I get to that, and basically I'll have another tape. I'll probably put a different color. I won't have it going down to 120 yards, so I'm not going to be shooting that far anyway. But I'll do it a slightly different color. That way I look at it, I know, hey, this is for this arrow, this other one is for a different arrow. But that way I can just come back to here, unscrew this tape, put my other tape on, and go. So it works out super nice like that. And yeah, so hopefully it kind of helps you guys out a little bit as far as that goes. And I know this video kind of got a little bit long, maybe got a little boring, but I hope the information I put in here can help some of you guys out. If you got any questions, drop a comment below, or or comment on the video or whatever, and I'll do my best to answer questions for you. Because, I mean, I've printed a lot of tapes. I'm very familiar with Precision Cut and how it works, and a lot of the things that Precision Cut offers as far as what you can do in the app itself. So, if you got questions, drop a comment, let me know. So, till then, shoot straight.